All right. Welcome everyone to New England Book Artists Show and Tell. This Sunday, we're going to be taking a really good look at the results from the summertime zine swap of this year. So we have an annual zine swap every year. I start talking about it maybe around June 1st. I do a few zine workshops. All of these are on our YouTube channel, so you can take a look at that. So I'm Christina Hojosi. I'm NEBA's president. I do all the web work, and I'm the zine mistress. I don't, get too much of a whip action on people with being a zine mistress very often, unless everybody's late with their submissions. But it's something I'm very passionate about. I get a big kick out of how low tech and fast you can make a really powerful tool of communication with people. You can leave them anywhere you feel inspired to. You could actually sell them. You can make a little teeny bit of money on them, but not really. NEBA just does it because we love it, and we love to share our little, spontaneous art outbursts in these zines. And so you're going to get to see some of the interests of our group. As we go, I'm going to ask our swappers who are here to join us in the conversation. So first up, we're going to go alphabetically. So Sarah Marie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm new to NEBA. I found out about you guys through Jessica Ferguson, who was my professor at SMFA. I graduated from there in Tufts in 2015 and have been making zines ever since. Um, but this project in particular is a collaboration between me and Spoon Jackson, who is a poet currently incarcerated in California. And we write poems together and work on some zine publishing initiatives. And really, it's about just encouraging people to make more art and do what makes their hearts come alive more. And for a while, we've had this idea of doing a spoonful of wisdom, where it's just like a short little bit of text that is inspired by words from Spoon primarily. So in this zine, everything in all caps is Spoon, and everything in lowercase is what I've added, but it should read as a flow altogether. And so we send these out to whoever wants them, and I have somewhat of a web page on my website for our publishing initiative, Rabbits of Realness, which hopefully will grow to do much more in the future.
Would you mind if I back up and have you read it to us? Can you do that?
Sure. All right. If we keep it real, being attentive to what must speak through us, who we must be to feel alive, and work art proper, it will provide some of the needed stuff and bread we are looking for. The sustenance of a fully expressed inspiration satisfies the soul. Give yourself this gift, for it has a way of giving to others. Sometimes you ponder and feel the art and just sit with and let it settle in and then come out. Let it chart your path forwards. Your meaning is natural and comes out from rich, endless talent of your heart, mind, and soul. Meaning doesn't need manufacturing. Meaning only requires space to arise. Be open like the sky, the sea. You are the sky and sea. The heights and depths of your most specific experiences are the most electrically relevant. The personal is universal.
I really like how you have the two different, the all caps versus not. And I like knowing that about it too. I really do. That's really sweet. And this rabbit of realness logo, what was the inspiration for that? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I have it change every time based on
Oh,
what's
okay.
happening in the zine.
Yeah.
We might we might formalize it eventually, but I originally had a zine project as a student called Dancing Rabbits Publications because I'm a dancer and I've always identified with rabbits. But that's the name of a very wonderful eco village that is like doing cool stuff in the world. So when Spoon and I wanted to make more zines, he was like, "Oh, well, I call all of the creative people that I work with the Realness Network." It's like Spoon's Realness Network. So we put them together, and Spoon actually has always identified with rabbits and has written a lot about rabbits as well. So it was just waiting to be, and we became Rabbits of Realness. And so on zines that are both of us together, I have two rabbits, and then like here's a different one that I did with just my words, and there's only one rabbit.
Cool. I
And
like that. If you would kick me maybe a cell phone image, or if you have nice images of that. I'm making a
absolutely,
post about this thing and all that we're doing, and I think some of the tangents coming off, and the spoon has got me fascinated.
yeah,
I do have an obvious question. Why
yes.
spoon? You know
I've
what I
asked
mean?
him
I
that.
mean, does he make spoons?
No,
I
he
don't know.
said it's just something that stuck, like, since childhood. He was one of the youngest of a large family, and his mom just called him Spoon, and that was, like, his childhood nickname, and somehow it just fits him better than everything else. His real name is
Huh.
Stanley, but so it's an S name, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it works.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
wonderful, Hafiz poem that's really short, and it's like, "May we all, uh, have spoons to, like, shovel lightness into our beings," or something beautiful and Hafiz about it. But yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
And
amazing that he can find that. We have several members that have connections with prisoners.
oh,
Um, in large scale manners, like running book classes in a special collections library. Chantal Zachary does that at the Concord facility, one of those prisons at the Rotary there at Route 2. I don't know the name of it.
yes, I know Chantal. I will,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And Pam Wright also, she's a New York
Oh,
state, upstate New York area person that is in our group, and she has done some work involving incarceration. It's interesting that you do seem to find a yearning for book related content in these environments of isolation and just tons of time. And I think it's interesting how strong the book arts seem to affect people. Wow,
absolutely.
what a great little piece here. Thank you.
You bet. And the colored version has, uh,
Oh,
an inside.
I'm going to stop the share while you're spotlighted still.
Mhm. So the desert scene is a drawing of spoons, and then the blue kind of oceany parts are some a part of one of my paintings. Yeah.
Could you show us the other one that you showed before with one rabbit? That was very tiny one, and I couldn't
Oh
see
yes.
it. Now
Okay.
now we
It's
can see
on
it.
the
Oh,
back of this
uh-huh,
one.
Ancient bee being.
Yes. And so
okay,
this one has one rabbit.
uh-huh, thank you.
Thank you.
Super, super charming. I love the idea. And see if she's with us and just isn't. No, I don't think she's here. Okay, well, I'm just going to share hers then. Um, Marie Canaves is a very political person, and most of her zines have been about Trump or somehow related to the current political situation. I love her crazy array of font choices, her graphic design, and just her aesthetic is always consistent. And this one is just as you'd expect. It's excellent. So here we go. Your secrets are safe with me. I'm going to let this sit here for a minute so that you can have a chance to read some of it. Our deranged former US president and loser, capital, all caps. I love this. This is excellent. Wow. What about the ones he ate or the ones he flushed down a White House toilet? And down at the bottom, I think we might actually be getting an answer to that last question of whether Merrick Garland's going to do anything. Yeah, so she finds open source like photos of him. When you're president of the United States and a public figure, you can pretty much grab a lot of this stuff off the internet and just use it without any issues. It's open source. So this is kind of fun. It's not the best picture, so it's a little less sharp than it is in reality on the left-hand side. Yeah. They're newspaper clippings. Crazy. I love this one. This was one of my favorites. So I had to zoom in. I love this, like, spilling the beans. So I had to zoom in on that. Excellent. And then she gives you in proper book artist colophon form here, like all the fonts. I love that. Yeah, pretty good. And I love the fact that she puts Cuban American exile on her work too, which I think is fantastic. So I'm sorry she couldn't be here to share. Uh, lovely. Is Susan with us? Let's take a peek. I don't believe so. Okay, so Susan Gaylord is especially known for calligraphy, and her book arts, all of her zines that she's contributed pretty much feature feature her calligraphy in some shape or form. I'm going to hop to the last image to give you the story of this. I'll back up. So she created an entire set of a book and then large scale posters of each individual page of the book that she created in 2020 to celebrate the anniversary of the suffrage just movement and all. I wanted you to see this to be able to go get them because they're still available and they're actually really touching, really well done, and it's open source so that you can just grab some. And if you ever went to one of the fairs at our NEBA book fairs that we've done so far, there haven't been like an excessive amount of them, but who gets taken first? It's her. She like her stuff. People just grab. They love the idea of suffragette stuff. They love any kind of feminist related content. Ziners seem to be really excited about the fact that this stuff is being discussed and celebrated because I think it's an underappreciated kind of world of stuff, so people get excited about suffragette stuff and they love the fact that that's the actual way you spell it. I think most people misspell that word. So she does a really nice job with everything she does. I love her aesthetics. I'm just going to back it up to the beginning and we'll just go right through it here and I'll give you a chance to look at some of these folks. It's just so powerful. Some of them just really resonate strongly. I think some of these women are underappreciated too.
So Christina, is the paragraph underneath a description of the person who wrote the quote?
Yes, it is. And I know that it's probably hard to see it, but when you download and print it out yourself, you're going to be able to print it up and get a good look at it. So it basically, like the one on the right, it says Ida Bell Wells Barnett was a pioneering journalist who investigated lynching in the South during the 1890s. She was one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Her relationship with the predominantly white women's suffrage groups was often contentious. And then it tells you where this quote is from her book, The Light of Truth, Writings of an Anti-Lynching Crusader. it seems absurd that we would need to have an anti-lynching crusader in this humanity, but we do. And so lifting
And-
as we climb onward and upward we go. I've heard that one quite many times, actually. I like that one.
Regarding anti-lynching, the anti-lynching bill only just got passed in the last like 6 months. Somehow that wasn't something that until, now that we could get. It's just
Yeah.
remarkable.
It is. That is just remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course it didn't pass unanimously. So apparently people are pro-lynching.
Unbelievable.
Well, I think it would have been murder, but murder plus hate crime is what gets you to lynching, right?
I think that is, yeah. You have to meet multiple criteria.
Yeah, now it's a federal crime too, not just a state murder
Yeah,
count.
yeah. I think next year I'm gonna go with a darker paper. This pale gray I used is so close to this white that it's a little tricky to shoot. I thought it looked elegant at first, and now I'm not so sure. Anya, is Anya here? Let's take a spin through the list here, make sure Anya's not here. I know that she would not have her video. She's not like big on having her video. So I wish she was here because I'm curious about this. She is from Poland, and I'm again the back page. I'm just going to flip all the way through here briefly just to get to the back page, and then we can move back into it. So it says here there's a museum in Warsaw where she read Museum of Life Under Communism. So she went there and took a lot of photos of what she experienced in the museum. And it's showing the realities of the communist era in Poland. What brings back bittersweet memories to older generations of Poles will turn into a fascinating discovery for those who didn't have a chance to experience it. I could not resist. One has to live to relive. I am not sure I understand exactly what one has to live to relive is referring to. So I was hoping that we could ask her some good questions, but these are fascinating composites of this stuff in this museum. So we're looking at like pop cultural things, I would imagine is what we're looking at, right? Does anyone here have any reference to anything in Poland that they could, since she's not with us and I don't have the true, the full story of it? Anybody have any thoughts? Interesting graphics. I love the layout of like the museum overlaid, and the way she's layered these things together is cool.
I know that the museum, it is what it says it is. It's kind of a museum of life and during that time period. So it's popular culture, it's ephemera, it's mechanical devices, things that people would have in the home during that time period. It's supposed to be a fascinating museum. It was recommended to me to go when I was there, but I just didn't get there when I was there this summer. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it is. It's life during that time period.
Yeah.
I haven't been to that one, but I've been to the Museum of Communism in Berlin, and it's pretty great too. I would recommend it, and it's a lot of that kind of stuff and more, but probably not relevant to this.
I think the reference of one has to live to relive means that in order to reflect upon something, you've got to survive. So you've got to live through something in order to be able to represent the memories of it. Certainly you can understand how that would apply to Ukraine now.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I always love the aesthetic that she puts on her work with these zine swaps. Last year, the Pakistani spice bag with the rendering of the hands making it. Just love that one. This one too. This is really nice. I have so many zines that are like in the works, and I was sitting there trying to think of which zine from this year that I thought really represented better this year. And is kind of like one that's special in my mind because of the fact that it's like a reverse idea. So this is my points of connection. It's a two-sided zine. It starts off, it's basically white ink on black paper. So the right-hand side is actually it with the originals outside, and the ends left is it flipped. So I basically just used Photoshop to and do an inversion. I like the fact that they're printed on the two sides and how differently they look and make you think in the two different versions. And it's basically like a doodle that I was trying to think about ways to conceptualize the negatives and the positives and the pushes and the pulls and the false starts and stops and overlaps. And I live in a mid-century modern house. I'm into atomic era kind of furniture and decorations. It seems like I'm also a photographer, so it seems like eye lines and eye sights, and I do shiitake mushrooms, so I'm seeing mushroom gills. As a farmer, there's a lot of different like things combining into it, but for me, I think it can be broadened and conceptualized in a, like, could be race relations. It could be two different points of an argument. It can be, third world versus first world. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could think of it. Yeah. I love
Can I
the
ask a-
idea that you
oh.
can have angles of view that aren't traditional with these zines. You can pose them to show interior views, which is one of the things that I enjoy about it. Let me get back, actually. Yeah, somebody
Can I
wants.
ask a quick question?
Sure.
When you do a two-sided zine, does that mean you print out two and stick them together?
You print
Like-
one and then you print it through again on the other side.
Okay, duh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you have a two-sided zine that's in one PDF, mine, I give it to you in two PDFs. Susan Marsh's is in one PDF. So if you go to Staples and you have it on a USB flash drive and you put it into that Xerox machine, if you print Susan's, you don't have a choice. It'll just come out as two sheets. When I print mine, I do the first print and then I put it in the tray. You're not supposed to open that little door where it says, ask attendant for help or whatever. I just pull a sneaky Pete and get on in there and pop it back in and make it go through with the second print on it. Otherwise, I would take Susan's two prints, okay, and I would keep them in reverse order because it puts the first one on the second one, right? And I do the sneaky Pete and I'd end up with two copies instead of one because it's printing in one file, right? So when you go to print these out, if you're at Staples, which I recommend, they're really uber black ink on the 28-pound, what they call their premium Xerox. I think it's like 20 cents, maybe 18 cents. But anyway, yeah, that's how I printed these to get them this really crisp, nice, sharp black. Yeah. I just like the weight of the paper too. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Sue, do you want to turn your sound on and join us for, I think she's here.
I am here. Yep.
Yeah, so she did two. So we got two really fun ones. I don't know what the titles are, so I'm going to just let you take it away and explain a little bit, and I'll just move through each of them slowly.
All right. Sounds good. They don't have titles, I don't think. But this one is are insects, which I've just always loved insects. Have had bugs in my artwork probably since high school. I don't know. They just keep resurfacing, so I just keep working with them. But these are actually collaged. I just cut them out of different papers and collaged them on the original one. They're actually in color in the original one. And then I just photocopied it in black and white. And they're pretty much made up. They're based on real insects, but obviously they're not real. And I think I took, I'm not positive what this was, but I think the printed material was actually an old flower journal from, it was probably from like the 1950s or something like that. So they're sort of nature related.
Yeah, I thought they were. I was looking at some of the words thinking that maybe you were trying to make points, but I think it's more about the graphic design of it, right? Than it is about
Yes,
specific words. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely more about what it looks like than what it says.
yeah. There are some good words, like the word glory, and these just interesting, like points is a repeat. The word points happening over and over again.
You never know. I don't know. I'll have to go back and read it. It's been a while.
Yeah. Super cute. I really like it. I like how they really do feel like collages.
Mm,
This rendering, the way it rendered, you can actually, like over here, you really on the left-hand side, especially, you can really feel like a dimensional movement backwards into where the written material is. You can feel the texture and like that little lift on the edge of the papers. Yeah, it's
good.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah, I
people that
was,
just use markers, to do their zines. You're missing out on like a three-dimensional kind of quality that like a collaging concept could do, even with what you do with your marker, right? So you could do the work in marker, cut it out, collage it in place, and have it be like a raise effect. It might be an interesting concept too. And just ideas. I groove on different ways of making these zines. So it's fun to see what other people come up with.
this one, actually, this isn't, I think, this may be the back cover.
Okay, I wasn't sure because to make it the back cover,
I don't know what
it
this is,
doesn't
but they're,
work because it's on the right-hand panel, right?
oh, so maybe, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have it in here right now, but
Huh.
anyway,
Well, there
it was,
some discussion about which way. So let's just flip through and maybe you could tell us where the front cover is.
so this is the front and the back cover because
Oh, is
it's,
it upside down?
maybe it is because it's supposed to be sort of like a sandwich.
Okay, I thought it was bread, loaves of bread. I was feeling the
Yep.
loaves of bread. Okay.
Yep. So it's like a roll or bread, so it's like the front is the top of the roll, then you put the mustard on. I just like the
I
idea.
didn't think it was upside down because the mustard and the fish looked right side up.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way they should be.
Okay, so this is front and back. Then this would be the next spread.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're
so
building a sandwich. Okay, I'm digging it. I'm digging the sandwich idea. Let me
Yes.
and then is it tomato and cheese?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my heart, that's cheese. I get it. I get it now. There was a eureka in the
I know
middle
it's
there.
pretty it's
Okay,
abstract.
onions and lettuce. I
It
love
was
the onion,
stronger.
actually. I really do. Look how nice that.
So, you know what? Actually, I just remembered some of this is printed. It's printed. Actually, they're all printed and then collaged.
So are they jelly or like styrofoam block or something like that, or rubber stamps or something?
They're printed on plexiglass plate using hand cut stencils.
Okay.
That I cut out of cardstock. And then for both of these, I kind of photocopied them a bunch and then brought them home and looked at what needed to be darker or lighter or just changed completely. And then I changed the, where each image went and in what order and things like that. So they kind of morphed through time. Some of these are copies of so yeah, so they were sort of printed originally and then collaged with
That's like a classic zine move, is like multiple generations of stuff to not only degrade but repurpose. There's some kind of really wonderful strange beauty that comes out of like a horror show at Staples with like your playing of stuff and then you Xerox is Xerox, or you image transfer old Xerox that doesn't do right and then layer in something else. Yeah, I love how that it just kind of like moves along. Yeah. I'm excited to rephotograph it. I will rephotograph it the right way so that we know for sure what the front and back cover and the whole sandwich idea comes across.
Well, it was easy to
Jane is holding it
refold.
up right there.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
very easy to refold, and then
Yeah.
it went on to make the sandwich. And-
Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you. That
Yes,
looks
they were
great.
very
I will
fun.
take pictures of it properly so that we understand. And also when we have them on the website with our little, I'm going to be asking all the zingers to do their 2 to 3 sentence artist statement with a title. And you could say I'm number 1 and just call it number 1 or number 2 or whatever. You could call it sandwich. I don't know. But if you call it sandwich, that'll definitely secure in people's minds what it is all about. I mean, that obviously titles and artist statements help push towards that. Yeah. Fantastic, honey. We
Sounds
are
good.
excited to have you in the group, and what a strong first zine swap for you. Excellent.
Yeah, fun. Thank
The
you.
cheese, I love the cheese with the tomato across that. The circle, repeating circle idea here. That's a nice graphic layout there. Here's our mascot, Carolyn, darling. Your moment to shine. Is he around? Is he going to visit while we're talking? Do you have any kitty treats to like woo him to come over?
He's around somewhere. He was watching the game with me. So he's probably, I disturbed him greatly. He was on my lap when we were watching the game, and I had to come in and be part of this meeting. And I'm so glad you talked for a few minutes, because just so everyone knows, in the last 20 seconds of the game, the Patriots scored a touchdown and they won. Yay.
Oh, our timing was terrible for this then. I didn't realize
it's only because the game was delayed because of technical difficulties.
Well, I'm not a sporto. I
Well,
actually
I
am, but
am.
just not in traditional sports.
Yeah, so anyway, this is what, I mean, I love sports and I love Waylon. So I'll probably do a zine on sports, particularly volleyball or diving, but I love Waylon more than anything or anyone.
He's like our mascot. He really is. Since you know, if for those who haven't met yet, this is Carolyn. She is our VP. She is the MC typically of our show and tells. I'm kind of taking the reins because we didn't get a chance to cover everything beforehand.
Well, you're the zine meister, so it's only right.
Yeah. I was a little bit, I've been a little bit last minute on some stuff, but he is super cute. He's just absolutely adorable. And he's in some of the backgrounds of pictures on the website. And so one day maybe you'll meet our mascot, Waylon. Let's take a peek.
He's my fella, and this is the best of Waylon Volume 1. I assume I'll have 10 or 20 volumes about the best of Waylon. But he's got this cute little black nose in the middle of his triangle white face. All the pads on that he's got on his little paws are black on a white field. He's very graphic, and he's surprisingly symmetrical. Some of his whiskers curl, and I just love just this. He's subtle, and he's got this poof of a vest. Oh, it's just, I just look at him and I melt. And it's mostly around that vest. And he sits so proper and he pushes it out.
He knows he's the stuff, you know, he does.
He's just great. Oh, he lays on his back, of course, which is irresistible. He was a rescue. He was found in Boston with a wound, and someone turned him into Angel Memorial. And they did not euthanize him because they identified him as a nice cat. And the way he lays on his back and lets you touch his belly, I think that was his move. That's his great move that saved his life. And then when you look, again, the graphic thing, when you look at him down over the top of him. He's just this solid black shape that, well, I just love that. And what's my last page? And there he is, the
A
whole
glamour shot, of course.
Yeah.
You gotta have a glamour shot.
Yeah.
He's
So
doing as a photographer, I call it this squint. It's not a squint and it's not a crunch, it's a scrunch. It's when you are like loving and enjoying something and your eyes get a little smaller. You see how his eyes are kind of like
well,
small?
that's how cats kiss you. They squint at you, and they'll blink with their eyes squinted, and that's a cat kiss. That's when they're really liking where they are and liking who they're with. So that's this is the second zine I've done on Waylon, but this is the first best of Waylon, volume 1. So that's Waylon. And I'll find him now that I've finished talking, and I'll hold him up during whatever here.
He joined us at the last same. Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, he
Nice
jumped
to
on my
see him.
lap. He
He's a
jumped on my
sweetie.
lap, and he's a good boy. He's really a good little cat.
And for those who don't know, one of the biggest subculture genres within zines is cat. Cats are the thing, man. People love doing cat zines and all kinds of crazy array. Just cat and zine into Google, and you will just be amazed.
Well, I'm happy to report that Waylon was a big seller at the
Yes.
New England Book Fair. Big seller.
Well,
Quick
Well, big
question.
we don't
taker.
really sell exactly. We
Right,
give them
he is a
away and
big
ask for a
taker.
donation.
Yes.
Can I ask?
Absolutely.
On the basic level, so these are beautiful photographs, and so do you put them in Photoshop or something like that, or how do you get them onto this page in the proper way?
Well, I'm a graphic designer, so I have so far always done my zines in Quark. I've never transferred to InDesign. I retired before I had to do that. And so, you know, it's pretty easy. I do it like a graphic designer. It's a little perfect.
Yeah.
So for people who aren't graphic designers, if we wanted to put a photo in, what other kinds of tools can you use to do that?
Photoshop, Illustrator is another one.
Okay.
I think you should print them out to size and cut them out and paste them down and make your Xerox.
That is a very straightforward way of handling it. I would like to say in June, when I do the next round of zine workshops, that maybe I could do some basics of something simpler for people, like find some simple ways for people to be able to work on a template.
That's
You
a
know,
good idea.
Make some tips, help a little bit more with how people can incorporate some of these things that don't have the technology base. Yeah.
It's a really good idea.
The very first year, we had almost the exact same number of zines, and I would say 50% of them needed Christina to repair them in some way, shape, or form. People just, you know, their alignments were hinky, you know, they just weren't quite as like sharp or right, you know, so that little teeny bit of adjustments happened. This year, I hardly did that at all. Most people's folded up perfectly and worked out just fine. So I think people are some of the repeating people are starting to learn how to do better at how to make them look easier and kind of work themselves out faster. Yeah. But she's definitely got the ability. She did our brochure, which we just ordered our second big batch of. So the NEBA brochure is getting out in the world. She did a lovely job on that. Speaking of Jane, you want to hop in here?
Sure thing. Well, this was my first zine, although I've made little books. I didn't know to make a zine. I mean, I've made books out of this same folding technique, but any case, I didn't know the basics even, so, or how to get it graphically to come out right. So this was my first attempt, and since I immerse myself in music most, you know, that's my kind of main thing, I thought I would just talk to myself basically, and graphically like enjoy because mostly I enjoy music, by hearing, but it was kind of neat to enjoy it by visuals too, and to have some fun with the visual idea. So that's my first zine.
Did you have the staff lines at the bottom to encourage someone maybe to compose?
Why not?
I felt that right away. I was thinking, oh, you could actually do a little music composing across the bottom of your zine.
Yeah, and I
lovely.
like, because it is an open space, I mean, it's
Yeah.
empty. You can do what you want with it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I liked how you embellished your J here with another music note. Thought that was smart too. I like that.
Yeah, and plus
Yeah.
notes to myself, isn't that some book, or a poet, or somebody wrote a book called Notes to Myself, so that's why it was ringing in my ears.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I like the fact that you could add to it too, which is kind of part of a zine tradition to think about it as potentially a coloring book. A lot of people do these black and white zines, and people actually color into them, which I think is kind of nice.
I think if I was to do it again, the 3 notes on the back page, I would have made smaller and put over to the side and actually leave more room for notes to yourself, but that's what I did.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Excellent. We're excited to have you as a new member as well. Can't wait to
Thank
see
you.
more. Fun. Hopefully everybody's been able to get onto the drive. Lori.
Yes.
Excellent. So Lori did too, which is really nice.
Well, I don't want to get credit for producing 2 because I wanted so much to be included in this collection, and I didn't have time to create a new one. So I took things that I had already done and made them into zines. So they don't have the little.
I'm sorry. I'm going to veto what you just said. You made us 2 zines,
Okay.
right? So you do get credit for making 2 zines.
Thank you. I am actually, with that in mind, I am in the process of slowly going through various little books that I've made or things and turning them into zines, because like Christina, I just so love the medium of zines. And I'm finding that like a lot of stuff that I have done in the past, I can, scan in and then manipulate and make into a zine. This book, I Am Light, was an original zine with colors. And well, oh, here I have it right in my hand. I couldn't find it. So, this is it was it's called Neurographic Art. That this is the original.
Do you want me to stop sharing for a second?
So yeah, okay, we'll do
Let's
that.
do that, and you can hold it up.
Okay,
Oh.
so
Look how beautiful that is. My goodness.
So neurographic art is pretty simple. You put a marker in your left hand, you draw random lines across the page from edge to edge. And then you take circle shapes, a roll of tape or anything to make little circles, and you make circles, you put circles wherever you want. And then wherever there's an intersection, you round it. So, like here, you get this rounding effect. And the idea is that it's supposed to look like, I think, neurons or something. I don't know. I'm not a medical person, but, so you're smoothing out all the intersections. I noticed that I did miss a few. And then you can go in and put colors and other shapes and whatever. So you've got this piece that's all interesting, covered in stuff, but of course you can fold it up and make it into a zine. And then I have a friend who does these gatherings, and she gives us quotes on a theme, and the theme of this month's gathering, which was back in October of 2020, was light. And so all of the quotes had some reference to light in them. So
Would you like to read them to us?
Sure, I can do that. Okay, so
I'm going to go back to the share.
okay, so again, everything references light. So I made on the cover, I am light. And then the first one is darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And that's Martin Luther King Jr. The next one is, it is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Aristotle. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Edith Wharton. And
Love
then,
that one.
yeah, and then the back cover, it's just my signature and reference to when I created it.
Yeah.
So that's the origin of that one.
I'm feeling the dendrite idea. I'm also feeling like these are like points of origin, like how light spreads away and moves away from its source, sort of. The circles also kind of felt like eyeballs occasionally too for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just random designs and whatever I feel like doing. And it's a fun, kind of like many things, a meditative thing. You can just sit and add and do more and more. So yeah, that's that. And I want to say before I talk about the second one, I want to first of all say thank you, Christina,
You're
for
welcome.
sending me the reminder of this. You sent it personally to my what is my main email, but I tend to have things sent to a second email, which I don't always see on time. So thank you for that, because then I saw it, and thank you for doing this sharing. I have printed out all the zines and I'm folding them as people are talking. And so it's wonderful to be able to look at them and get more out of them. And I'm really enjoying this. And I am just utterly in love with everything that everybody has done. So
These are really fun ones. Yeah, I love them too.
yeah, no, and I love the stories behind them and the origin and so yes, so thank you to that. Okay, so this one is how to carve a rubber stamp, which also originated from a different, this one, the carving a rubber stamp, was something that I made in I'm trying to remember. It was a workshop for doing, I think it was called a quarter size or a quarter page zine, which I didn't understand what it was going to be. And it was really just taking a piece of 8.5 by 11 and tearing it in half and then stitching it together, which is another zine. It's not an X zine. I call these X zines the oxplow. I've just heard somebody else calls them an O-zine. So many names. But anyway, so this was, a zine being something easily reproduced, and that's made from a single piece of paper. So it was just showing us this little structure, and I took my paper and stamped it all over with rubber stamps that I had carved, and then added in some vellum, where I wrote instructions on on the steps to doing a rubber stamp, and made this little zine of how to carve a rubber stamp. So then I realized, well, the dimensions are right, so I can just scan these pages in and lay them into the standard zine format. And when you fold it, you flip it so you read it landscape orientation rather than portrait orientation. So, here's my little colored version. And yeah, so it just, instead of, anyway, so that's the deal with it. And again, it was something I'd already done. And but I think I might have, like actually converted this one into that layout. So I did a little bit more. Thank you, Christina, for letting me get credit for creating things. But I was like, oh, goody, I just want to be part of this. So
I like the fact that it's a horizontal and the mix is
Mhm.
exactly the same, but it presents totally different.
Mhm.
I like the interesting effect of the vellum with the transparency
Mhm.
through to the background. I think that
Yeah.
works really well.
Yeah. The thing about the layout of this structure is when you have it for a landscape. Okay, so how does it work? Yeah. So when you're laying it out, you have to have the back page go in the opposite direction of the cover. So looking at the sheet, it's like, the direction is all the same here, and then it flips direction. Otherwise, when you're running through the book and get to the back cover, here it's, I think it's, wait a second. Shoot, no, that one's upside down. Okay, but I think okay. Yes, when I printed out, this one's right side up. So I had printed that color copy that I had sitting on my desk before I went, oops, and reversed it. So that when you do it and you run through it, then when you finally get to the back cover, it's right side up for you. So you don't have to like turn it over. And then that means, oh, they are all in the same direction. Never mind. It isn't a different layout. They're all in the same direction. I remembered I had to play with that and it was a little bit confusing, but never mind.
I
So,
thought it looked good. No worries.
okay, one last thing.
Yeah.
I'm printing out all the zines as we're talking, and they've all come printed out. And all of a sudden, this is in my stack of stuff on my print.
That's the backside of Judy's, and you're going to find out about that in just a second.
Okay, because
I don't know if she's next. What's she saying?
I went back through the PDFs and I could not figure out what it belonged to. Okay,
Silence.
I thought it was like some gremlin was in the machine, and I'm like, how did that come? I couldn't find it anyway.
I should change the titles so that they're back to back to each other. It's the backside of silence.
Oh, okay.
And you're going to be seeing it in just a minute.
Yeah, I already folded silence, so I'll connect them. Okay, great. I thought I was losing my mind.
You're not. Okay, we got Susan Marsh coming up next.
Yay.
And I might suggest you slide it to make me smaller.
No.
That's fine. So mine is called The Signature Book Artist and Other Collections. I really love collective nouns, especially when the adjective describing them has to do with some kind of quality or aspect of that noun. So like a prickle of porcupines or a quiver of cobras or something like that. And so the back of the zine and the background of the zine, as well as the back of the zine, is a list of a bunch of different collective nouns. And that's where I started. And then I chose ones that for me, I could visualize and then I could draw them. So we have the army of frogs and also an army of caterpillars. So those I could kind of see in my mind, and so I could draw them. And then an audience of squid. I thought that would be really fun to be in a theater with a bunch of squid.
I love how big their eyes are and how all the different like shadows of them are being cast. Right, those are the shadows of them, right? Or are those people that just don't have light on them?
Well, I think it's that kind of the back of the theater gets darker, so it's just yeah. And
that's a
I like
crazy
how
array of
squids come in
squid
all different
shapes.
sizes and shapes, so you could have lots of different ones there.
Yeah. Love it.
And then A Fall of Lambs, that one was for Carolyn. I had to do lambs for her sheep. And then A Band of Gorillas. There's also a
I love the guy in the middle with the spiky. He's
This-
like on the microphone on the mic.
yeah, that's a female one.
Oh, okay. She's
Yeah.
like the front
They also,
person.
there's another one for gorillas. I think it's a not howl. It's a shriek, I think. A shriek.
Shriek.
A whoop. It's a whoop. Sorry, a whoop of gorillas. There it is. I
A
found it.
whoop of gorillas.
Whoop of gorillas. But I kind of like the idea of a band.
Yeah.
And then A
fantastic.
Parade of Elephants, which I think is so perfect because I always love how they would hold each other's tails, and they walk in a line when they're moving from one water hole to another. So that's kind of fun. And then I liked the crash of rhinos, having them really jumping out at you, and they really do that. Watching rhinos in Africa, they just are always crashing into each other and like bumping heads, and they're not really the brightest animal. Surprised me. But I like them kind of crashing out of the page.
Yeah.
And then A Cauldron of Bats. We here I'm in New Hampshire at the moment, and our barn is full of bats, so I had to include bats. And since I'm from Salem, I mainly live in Salem, Massachusetts, and that's also bats, so I have it from both places. I knew I needed bats.
It's not quite as crazy there right now as it was like a couple of weeks ago. Is it calming down some?
Oh, Salem. It's surprising there's still a lot of tourists around.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, not as
I
bad.
went to
not as
her
bad
house
as it
at
was.
night a little while back, right before Halloween, and there were so many lights, and the front yard displays were just off the charts. It was just stunning how much decorations, just the craziness, way beyond even most people's Christmases for Halloween. Yeah.
It's very crazy. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
try to go away. It's a little too crazy for me. So.
I love the interior coming through. So you're feeling, depending on the weight of the paper that you print these on, you're gonna feel the transparency effect, which is really kind of interesting. It almost feels as if like what's on back is coming through to the front, sort of. Yeah, yeah. And there's such a crazy array. I mean, that's a pretty big, I don't know if that's complete, but it's a pretty darn complete sounding list. There's all kinds of way beyond just your illustrations. I mean, how many different types of things do you think there are on your list?
I don't, well, that it is some of it's repeated. I didn't have a full
It's
sheet,
a lot though.
but there are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot. I don't know how many,
Yeah.
but they're fun. I've always loved the collective nouns. So
Yeah. I did a book called A Murder of Crows. So
yeah,
that's one that I enjoy. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Here you're seeing a different view, getting another view of the band of gorillas off in the distance. A stench of skunks. That makes sense.
yeah.
You know, I had a pet skunk that was descended and he still smelled and he still tried. I mean, he tried so hard to spray you. Man, he would jack it up and like totally be like trying so hard to spray. He would be furious. And he was like, oh, nothing's happening. Yeah. His name was Sergeant Schultz. Okay. Carol, this is another new member. I'm excited to get to know Carol. Are you with us still? You are. I'm going to spotlight you. There we go. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
I guess what I could say here is that I come from a family that where books were treasured, and my mother owned a used bookstore. My sister owned a used bookstore. That wasn't going to be my path. I love books like they did, and have way too many of them. But the sort of artistic manifestation of them was more interesting to me. So I started playing with book arts probably when I got close to retirement, and 14 and 15 years ago. And I like playing with words. And, you know, I would read the phone book if I couldn't find anything else to read. So a bibliophobia just kind of, you know, captured my imagination.
I'm eager to ask a few questions. So, how did you narrow down your choices to these specific words? Was it a hard thing to narrow it?
No, I got very practical at the end. It was, some of it was, what do I feel like I could add to the description visually that would not be too challenging? And some of it was, I liked the way the words sounded.
Yeah,
Bumfuzzle
bumfuzzle is one of those. Yeah.
And I've done other things. I've done other sort of versions of this that have different words in them. So I've used different words in other places.
Yeah. Tara Diddle is a good one, and I love the Pinocchio nose. I wanted to ask about this next one though, the Catawampus.
Cattywampus?
Yeah. Are you implying not straight or square?
Something
what
happened there. That's actually not, that's not what the original looks like. Wow. Not straight or regular is what that's supposed to read.
So the blocks are not part of the original?
Nope. I don't know where they
Oh,
came from.
wow. Okay, so we printed a bunch of these, and while we were at the fairs, both the Watertown Zine Fest and the Boston Art Book Fair, there was discussion about trying to like figure out like what the situation was with this particular panel and another one. So I'm curious. I don't know if we have an original. Also, your name wasn't on it, and then I noticed that it was on a PDF, but it didn't print right, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, this one hasn't picked up, the egghead hasn't picked up everything either. There must have been something when I translated it to the PDF.
And then let me just show you this last one, the Windershins. That was another one that we tried like hell to figure out. It was like a puzzle.
I suspect that the PDF got corrupted.
So, yeah.
So these blocks and these like little lines and graphics aren't part of it.
No.
Christina,
Wow.
Christina?
Yeah.
The PDF on the drive that I'm using to print from is printing perfectly.
Oh, fascinating.
So
we looked at this a lot trying to figure it out.
Right. And so
okay, that's so weird. Okay, so it's something that happened at Staples.
Do you wanna add me as I can, Carolyn?
Okay, so okay, you're right. So the egghead has a complete egg with complete glasses.
Yeah.
The Windershins is something completely different. What does it say? N-A.
You have to read it backwards because that's what's related to Widdershins.
What, can you help us?
So in a contrary or
counterclockwise
direction. Clockwise direction, yeah.
Fascinating. So that is just super cool, and I can't believe, and your name is there clearly. Okay, great. And the other one is not straight or regular as a word written out. Okay.
Yes.
We were thinking that it had something to do with, you know, sometimes when they're asking if you're human or not online and they have these like puzzles with the like clicking on boxes or something weird. We thought it was something like that we just didn't, we weren't hip enough to figure out.
No, nothing so esoteric.
Nothing so glamorous. Okay. That is hilarious. Well, I will get better pictures and we will be able to share that. Wow. Okay. That's funny that we didn't know that that was wrong. It is kind of interesting looking though, isn't it? How weird
It is.
We should keep them. They're like special because we can never reproduce it. Thank you, Carol.
They're like when a postage stamp gets printed badly. And
Yeah, I mean, it's
more
like a special
valuable.
thing now. Awesome. So Judy, you need to unmute yourself, darling. I'm going to spotlight you.
Here I am.
Awesome. Please share with us your lovely zine. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I am enjoying this program. It's very joyous, and I just thank you all, and thank you, Christine, too.
You're welcome.
So I did. My grandfather was deaf and passed it to my father. My father gave it to me, and so far I keep it. So that I do aerobics in the pool or aquatics, and I have to take my hearing aids out, and so I hear nothing, and I feel sorry for myself. So I decided this time I would study silence, and I would come up and make me feel better, gave me something to think about. So I hear no words in the water, and but absolute silence does not exist. Let's see. We hear air conditioners, airplanes, birds, blowers, cars and trucks, shouts, thunder, tools, water, and even more. So the absolute silence, I don't hear anymore. Is space silent? We can hear a black hole, robotic arms, the Voyager crossing Saturn's rings. I heard that in a movie. It was great. Jupiter's auroras, Mars quakes, gravitational waves, colliding black holes. So even space is not as silent as we think. And silence in music, I have all the silent signs. Sudden pauses interrupt and enhance music. John Cage, he composed 4 feet 11 inches. And you should go on the Berlin Philharmonic on YouTube, and you should listen to that because it's great fun. And music is not in the notes, but in the spaces between them. The breath the horn takes before they play a note. We feel the silence, a space for us to live for a while, and it really is.
That's just so beautiful, Judy. I love that. It's really making me pause in between the spaces.
Well, it's important.
It is. It really is, though. It's great.
You must create your own silence. Saying nothing says it best, says Emily Dickinson. Remember that silence is sometimes the best answer. Oh, that's the Dalai Lama.
Well, it must be true then. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. And then the vows of silence, we have the monasteries, the priests, and the nuns. But
I don't know if I could ever do that.
Yes, but truly, they do not hear silence, so you don't have to worry. I wasn't born deaf. I sang alto in a choir. I loved the violin and the piano. Sound is exciting. Deafness is a loss. What is silence? Time to take a breath? I can't go on. I go on. Don't look for the meaning of words. Listen to the silence, says Samuel Beckett.
That is just seriously wonderful, Judy. I tell you, I stayed with it for quite a while. The first time I folded it, I just kind of like sat there and read it a few times. And when you get to also feel the backside, this is where the scream goes, Lori. It goes on the backside here.
I'm not sure I can read that from here.
I have it closer in here.
Okay.
Can you read that one?
I have to tell you about Susan and I often will send the scream to each other. We've done it for years. If ever we see anything with the scream, we send it to each other. So I had to put it in here. And it's the scream by Edward Munch. Art communicates silence between the painting and the viewer. A hush descends when you examine great art.
I love the way the cut in the piece goes right through the middle of his face. It looks cool also when you see it from the other side, because it's such an iconic image that even just seeing little bits of it usually makes you understand you're seeing it. I love the two-sided. I dig two sides. You know, just giving somebody that little extra something to check out and discover, you know. Awesome, Judy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yale.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Kind of self-explanatory, isn't it?
Oh, I love this. Where is this sculpture?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
You know, that's exactly what's going on here.
Oh yeah.
He's getting mansplained. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And as a female, I know none of us have actually experienced that.
What is in the background behind everything here?
Oh, the text.
Yeah.
I no longer even remember. I'm sure it was probably definitions of mansplaining, as is
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the Wikipedia stuff is pretty worded in interesting ways.
Yeah.
Not as like dictionary exactly, because it's open source, because
Right.
just comes out sometimes really funny with some of the way it's framed.
Well, my favorite is explaining without regard to the fact that the explainee knows more than the explainer. Often done by a man to a woman.
Oh my goodness. Rooted in the assumption that man is likely to be more knowledgeable than a woman. Oh my goodness. Words of the year in 2010. That's quite a while back now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a creative new word. Definitely. I love merging words together. This is fun too. I like the degradation again. This is very zine-y feeling to have this crunchy kind of degradation. Can you help us with the chart? Read it a little bit for us.
Well, it's explaining if you are mansplaining or if you are not mansplaining. So if someone asks you to tell them something or explain something, you're not mansplaining. It has to be on requested information.
Yeah. Yeah, it all leads to the flow chart with the dark box on the right. Of like,
Right.
this is all bad. Yeah, it's getting worse by the minute.
And this was Joy Reid had talked about the original Dobbs explanation for why they got rid of our rights.
Uh-huh.
So it was interesting the references that he was giving, you know, something from, I think was he from the 15th century or 16th century? No, 17th.
1662 judgment.
Yeah. And so this is what he's referencing as the expert reason to get rid of Dobbs.
I think your background text is a dictionary, it looks like.
Yeah,
so it must be
probably
like
because I
nearby
use
to
them a
what
lot.
you were. Yeah, it looks like dictionary.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then another like,
yeah.
Please stop talking to me.
you can see by her body language.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Exactly what he's doing.
I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Thank
This is
you.
in my wheelhouse, totally. I did a piece in reaction to Dobbs as well,
Mhm.
called Hand Job. And I just delivered it to the Attleboro Art Museum. So it's gonna be shared down there. So it'll be good.
Oh, great.
It's nice to you know, it's like it almost is beckoning to have a screen put on the back of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Mansplaining, hilarious. Thank you, Gail. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Stephanie, we got more kitty business.
Hi. Hi. Thanks everybody. This is so much fun. I just love it. I mean, this presentation, not my book, which
Oh, your book is cute.
I'm
I've met
very-
Little Dude.
Yeah, little dude is enormous now, but he did start out very, very little. I think he was like 1.5 pounds or something. And he's also very, very hungry. So it started out as a watercolor illustration on a very long accordion. And if you all want to see it, I can show it after.
Yeah, let me get through the slides and then we can go to your spotlight. Yeah.
So one, I think it starts out, my name is Little Dude. Yeah, my name is Little Dude. I'm 4 months old. One day I ate a frozen pea, a leaf of a Brussels sprout, a cashew and a peanut, popcorn, chocolate chips, a tortilla chips, some rice, one noodle, half of a pistachio muffin, part of a wax candle, and I'm still hungry. So now he's not quite so hungry, but he does whenever we have baked goods, like he gets this glint in his eye and he's right there. Like he'll run. One time I saw him running past, he had like a plastic bag and it was full of cookies someone had given us. He's like, he was tearing out of the kitchen with the bag of cookies. Got a sweet tooth.
Wow. It's an interesting array of items to choose. And the candle, I think, is the funniest one. You get to like, and a candle, what?
Well, yeah, there were some other things that he ate that I can show you in the other book too, but I had to edit it for,
Yeah.
what is it, 6 or 8 pages.
Let
Editing
me
is
let you share.
So it comes in this box.
Oh, how sweet.
Kind of little glint in his eye. And oh, I hope this isn't going to be reversed. I don't know, but here
What was that little box? Oh, this is the book about him.
She's showing you the original that she made.
The original, very good. Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice slipcover.
I hope this isn't mirror image, but you get the
it's
idea.
good. It's perspective correct.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's mirror image for me. I don't know what setting that is. So it's really long because I thought part of the fun was that.
Oh, here's an extra one right there. Hold still for a second. Half
yeah.
of a stick of butter wrapped. Oh my goodness. Did he not get sick?
No.
A page or two of 1 or 2 half-read books.
I mean, part of this, it is fiction, you know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Corners of a cardboard box.
Yeah, he actually taught the other cat how to chew on the box as well. I don't know.
Wow. And they're paste covers? Paste
Oh,
paper covers?
Paste paper covers.
Very
so it's
nice.
it's very small. But, yeah.
Super cute.
So thank you.
Yeah. All right, Susan. I believe you're here, right?
I'm here.
Excellent.
Well, this was my beloved Geyser. We lost him at 14, and it just was a surprisingly long mourning of him. And when I was looking for I joined NEBA, and the zine thing was coming up really quickly, and I'd never made one before, and I had a lot of big learning curve, and Geyser was in my thoughts, and so I just sort of made this little book about Geyser. And I had
Oh,
always
yeah,
had,
I think also knowing that pets and animals were a big popular zine theme, right? We talked some about the idea that like that's a really wonderful thing to make a zine about.
yeah.
So it
I
was
always
like a
have
sweet
little
tooth.
tricky little, terriers and little wise ass little dogs. I'd never had a big old retriever, and who was just I don't know, just a big old loyal, simple old soul. And he was a great dog.
Would you like to read this to us?
Yeah. My husband dreamed that a gypsy woman gave him a goat and said, his name is Geyser. We named our new pup Geyser too. His love of life and of us was geyser-like, unquenchable. He was a Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, the smallest retriever. Smaller dog just means bigger heart. Tollers play with sticks on the shoreline to lure ducks into shooting range. Geyser tolled for the pure love of it. No ducks had to die. We fell in love with this fuzzy, honest, loyal, simple soul. He was a big-hearted guy who took his job seriously and did everything the hard way. He made us laugh. He made me a better person. His passion was tolling with enormous branches. He looked for ones with a particular crook that he could use to perform amazing tosses, catches, spins, and back rolls. He shrieked with joy when he saw a squirrel, a chicken on the loose, or a bicycle. He shrieked if he didn't throw the ball or stick quickly or often enough. They call it the Toller shriek. It's really loud, really shrill. It was hard to watch such a force of nature getting old and then sick, but he still kept my toes warm when I worked at my desk. His last year, things got progressively rougher. One February weekend, we all had to say goodbye. 6 months later, I dreamed I opened a door. Geyser was lying there looking up at me with his soft, hopeful amber eyes. He started to get up. Overjoyed, I bent to caress him, and he just faded away.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, it felt good to do it. I wrote tons and tons of stuff and looked at so many photographs and videos and stuff, and it kept distilling and distilling. It was a wonderful process. And I used what I had. I had Word and PaintShop Pro, and Word, with a lot of stumbling around. Word is actually a halfway decent page layout environment, although nothing is called anything sensible. So there's no way to look up features, and there's no way to find stuff. And the features are all over the place because they've been tucked away over the years by somebody who said, oh, we have to be able to have a grid and be able to snap to grid. So they just stuck it somewhere, but it makes no sense. And you just stumble over things. But I really actually learned a whole lot about Word by making this zine, trying to get things to line up and Kern's text and, get the photographs to come out. So it was quite a learning experience.
Yeah, it can be fussy if you want to try to use Word to alter the pictures you bring in. So like if you start like playing within Word on brightness and contrast instead of just bringing them in looking right, it freaks out.
Yeah, I did all
that's just a tip.
Photos in PaintShop Pro. I sharpened the focus and increased the contrast and everything.
Yeah. I think it prints pretty good. I like the way it looks when it prints out. Yeah. Excellent. Wow. That is our group. And last but certainly not least, Susan, tell us about Susan Marsh made our box. I'm going to have you finish off. So this is a PDF that you can print out and easily make into a nice little slipcover. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. It works best if you print it out on cardstock. And I did last year's box as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so this looks exactly the same as last year's, but I just put the
I think it's super cute.
Yeah, and I made it so that the NEBA logo is in the same place and darker than the lighter one behind it. It's hard to see on your screen.
Yeah. I am gonna be the one that's gonna make a colophon for this year. I'm going to use some of this graphic here from the box to make the cover of the colophon match. I think I'll just pull around that Zine Swap and increase the box size and put the word colophon underneath it and just put it on the front as the front page. So before we sign off, all of my zine people, you need to let me have a 2 to 3 sentence statement and a title. It can be untitled number 1 or number 1, but I do want to put a title beneath the captions on the website when I upload us a little gallery. So I'd love to get like just a short statement as well. So you can pop that to me in an email. It would be fantastic. This is just our list. And this is Christina@hajosiarts.com is the easiest way to get to me. The Google Drive, if you did not get onto or were not able to get onto the Google Drive to actually get your PDFs, please let me know. I'm going to stop sharing. Excellent. I really enjoyed seeing everybody's work. A nice turnout. Anybody have any additional comments? You can all just, you know, turn back on your speakers and we can talk for just a minute before we kick out. I do have a couple of other announcements. Today was actually the deadline to be shipping or delivering to me the building books for the building book exhibit. Most people did not. I have about a little bit underneath half of what I was expecting to receive. So we're going to extend that deadline for a few days and hopefully more people will, I'm going to contact people individually, but hopefully people are going to get to it. We have Northampton. It's a very interesting, what is it? Northampton Antiquarian Ephemera Book Arts Show, December 2nd and 3rd in Northampton. So NEBA is going to be doing an informational table as an organization. We're not really going to be, we're going to try our new strategy of having everything being given out and asking for donations instead of trying to sell. So we're going to be an information booth. So you may or may not choose to drop by for a visit, but I think the show is going to be nice. Other than that, anybody else have any updates that they want to share before we kick out?
I'm going to have a new address. I'm moving at the end of December. It's why I had to drop out of the building books project because my landlord right before Halloween said, I'm selling the building. You have 60 days to get out. So I'm like up to here and packing boxes, and I have a new address that I'll be sending out that'll be active as of the brand new year.
Fantastic. It sounds like it's an improvement. So not a too big of a crazy, right?
What, moving?
Yeah.
No, it's a big fucking crazy.
It's a lot crazy.
Sorry, but that never gets good. Never. I'm just.
Anybody else have any other thing info to share? New classes. I noticed when I went to update the workshops on the online, there's only one in December listed. So I don't know if people just aren't teaching much for December and or haven't let me know of January dates and February dates yet, but it's looking like we don't do much. So I'd love to populate that workshop listing. If anybody here has kick me some workshop listings. All righty, you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for all of you good peoples, and I've enjoyed being part of your world.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.